One of the biggest Social Security myths is that your future benefit is guaranteed. It's not, and I'm going to tell you why. Hey, I'm Devin, and this channel is all about simplifying Social Security so you can use the rules to your advantage. If you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss anything we publish. If you've been paying into the Social Security system over all the years you've been working, it's easy to think that your payroll taxes have paid into a system that's guaranteed to pay you back a stream of income once you retire. As nice as that would be, it's just not the case. We need to be very, very clear about this. Your Social Security benefit is not an earned right when you retire. Now, you can agree or disagree with this all day long, but the fact is, Social Security payments are not guaranteed, and there is court precedent to back that up. They can change the rules anytime they want to. Now, I do understand why people believe they are, though, because the government has almost encouraged the belief through the years that Social Security benefits are guaranteed. In fact, a 1936 pamphlet from the Social Security Administration specifically states, the United States government will set up an account for you, and then just a little further down they say, the checks will come to you as a right. Now, that was from a pamphlet that was printed right after the Social Security Act of 1935 was passed, and a lot of people just didn't like the new mandatory withholding from their pay. And whether or not it was intended that way, the pamphlet certainly implied that the new tax would somehow credit a personal account to which the worker would be lawfully entitled to receive. But it didn't take long for that to get clarified by the Supreme Court in two separate cases. The first case began when, within just a few weeks after Social Security began, a shareholder of the Edison Electric Illuminating Company challenged the tax that funded the program. He wanted to stop the company from making the new mandatory tax payments and deductions from wages on the grounds that the Social Security Act of 1935 was unconstitutional. And for a brief period, he won. In this case, the U.S. First Circuit Court of Appeals held that Title II of the Social Security Act, and that's the heart of the program, was void as it was in direct opposition of the 10th Amendment. However, once the case reached the Supreme Court, things changed. In Helvering v. Davis, the Supreme Court reversed the lower court's opinion and held that the Social Security Act of 1935 was constitutional. Now, that in itself was not the most interesting part. It was somewhat expected. What was more interesting was the language that we used in the written opinion. It said, the proceeds of both taxes, and they were talking about both sides of the FICA taxes here, are to be paid into the Treasury like internal revenue taxes generally, and are not earmarked in any way. So that opinion completely eliminated the idea of the separate personal account that the Social Security pamphlet originally implied. And then in 1960, another case came up that made it very clear just how the government felt about the individual's right to Social Security benefits. This story began in 1913 when 23-year-old Ephraim Fidya Nestor immigrated to the United States from Bulgaria. In the 1930s, he, along with about 40,000 other Americans, joined the Communist Party. And he remained a member of the Communist Party until the late 1930s. And I want to note here that at that time it was not illegal to be a member of the Communist Party. It wasn't until later, when the Communist Control Act of 1954 was passed, that it became illegal, and retroactively illegal as well. Well, Ephraim worked and he paid into the Social Security system from the very inception of the system. That first year payroll taxes were collected, 1936, until he retired in 1955. He retired, he filed for his benefit, and started receiving $55.60 per month. But the very next year, McCarthyism caught him, and he was deported back to Bulgaria because of his former membership in the Communist Party. And once he was deported, his Social Security benefits were terminated. Well, Ephraim sued the government. He claimed that the termination of his benefits violated the Due Process Clause of the Fifth Amendment because it deprived him of an accrued property right. And again, as in the last case we discussed, the district court ruled in favor of Ephraim. But then the case made its way to the Supreme Court in Fleming versus Nestor. And as you may have already guessed, Ephraim lost this time. And in the Social Security Administration's summary of the court's finding, they state the following. There's been a temptation throughout the program's history for some people to suppose that their FICA payroll taxes entitle them to a benefit in a legal contractual sense. That is to say, if a person makes FICA contributions over a number of years, Congress cannot, according to this reasoning, change the rules in such a way that deprives a contributor of a promised future benefit. Under this reasoning, benefits under Social Security could probably only be increased, never decreased, if the act could be amended at all. Congress clearly had no such limitation in mind when crafting the law. Really? That's not what the 1936 pamphlet implied. What we saw here was a changing of the rules once everyone was forced to play the game. The moral of the story here is not that Ephraim should have kept his benefit. The Communist Party certainly was no friend of America. The point here is that the rules can and do change. And as a reminder of this, the Social Security Administration puts this on every statement they create. Your estimated benefits are based on current law. Congress has made changes to the law in the past and can do so at any time. So what's the big point I'm trying to make in this video? Well, it's not to scare you or make you worry about your benefits being taken away. There's no politician on either side that would touch the system for those that are close to retirement, and certainly not for those who are already on Social Security. The big takeaway here is that you need to understand that the rules for Social Security eligibility can be changed with the whims of politicians. Since we haven't seen any good advancement in serious reform proposals, it could be possible that the upcoming Social Security shortfall could be solved by simply changing the rules. Ultimately, you should heed the advice that's printed on each and every Social Security statement. Social Security benefits are not intended to be your only source of income when you retire. If you haven't already, it may be time to start planning a retirement that can withstand changes in your Social Security benefit amount. And if I could help, let me know at the link in the description. Well, thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic day.